So what does success mean to you?
Success to me is living out the life that God has planned for me. Just making sure I guess I'm living it within what it is. We'll cut that out and start over again.
Yeah. No, start again.
But
What does success mean to you?
so to me, success is spending time trying to reflect and think on what is it, God, that you've got in store for me, and help me achieve those goals. So literally sit down, pen and paper, spend a lot of time in prayer and just thinking, okay, like God, what have you got in store for me? What kind of goals have we got? Short term, medium term, long term? What kind of person do you want me to be? What kind of character do you want me to have? What kind of husband do you want me to be? What kind of father do you want me to be beyond just business side of stuff? The relationships are by far the most important thing in my life. And so, all right, God, this is what you've put in my heart as to what I want to achieve. Let's move forward. So success is achieving those goals that God has put on my heart to achieve in all areas.
Nice. Do you think our life's been mapped out for us, or do we have an element of choice along the way?
Yeah, 100%. We've got choice. We've got choice to go our own selfish ways, which can still be gratifying. It can be very gratifying to go your own selfish way, but I think you're sort of going to be robbing yourself potentially from a greater, more joyful life. I mean, again, my opinion, but staying connected with your Creator to know what it is that He's got in store for you. And yeah, life is definitely much more joyful in that state, that's for sure. But you always have a choice. 100%. There's a course that's been set out for you, but it's your choice to follow it if you choose. I feel like God already knows what you're going to choose, but He's giving you that freedom. He knows what's happening in the future. We don't, but He'll know ahead of time what our choices are going to be. But we've got that freedom, within ourselves to make those choices.
All right. So more of like a choose your own adventure.
Okay, so it's straight down the barrel there.
Yeah.
Two. Yeah.
Do you want me to talk? Yeah. Hello. Yep. Oh. So how come you get the fancy stand?
Don't know, mate. This one's not working for some reason. Two. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, it's working now.
Oh, beautiful. Well, look at that. You just needed to pet it a little bit.
Yeah,
Hello.
it does. Just needs a little bit of TLC. Sometimes you just need to talk to it like a human being.
That's it.
It was interesting driving in here.
What's it?
It was a longer trip than I expected. Thanks to GPS though, I got here okay. I don't know how I would have before GPS. I probably would have had to come the night before, organised accommodation.
It's very possible.
Stay. Yeah, it's a long way. Do you camp here every time you come? Or
It's not that far. It's like 25 minutes.
25 minutes?
Maybe if you know how to get from point A to point B in as short of a distance as possible.
It felt far though,
Yeah.
Nick. It did. Maybe we in Adelaide have a bad attitude when it comes to transport, I think. Do you find that? Compared to the eastern states and elsewhere in Australia?
I don't know much about the other place. I'm from Canada because I spent most of my time at chiropractic college in Toronto. Like, traffic there is ridiculous. So honestly, rush hour here feels like lighter than normal best traffic in Toronto any day. So I never really think of it as being that bad at all.
Yeah. Has the interview started yet or not? I'm not sure.
You tell me, you're the one who's
I'm the one in control. Okay, but you're in the power seat at the moment there. Sorry about that. I've got a very good mate of mine here, Dr Nik. Sorry, how do I say that?
Everybody wonders how to say it.
How do I say it?
Dukovac.
Dukovac.
Yeah, Dukovac. Duke of Ac. Dukovac.
So you're the Duke.
The Duke of Vacuums.
The Duke
of Vac. There you go.
You picked the wrong career, mate. You could have been a vacuum salesman.
I did think about that.
You did think about that?
Yeah, my brother, at one point, one of my brothers in his life was a carpet cleaner for a short period of time.
Yeah.
So, I could have followed on with that trade.
And when did you decide you wanted to become a chiropractor?
I was around 17. The first time I saw a chiropractor was maybe in my early teens, maybe even younger than that, 10, 11. I was playing competitive ice hockey. Just started having some troubles from being whacked around the boards and on the ice all over the place.
Yeah.
And my dad was seeing a chiropractor. He brought me to him, and I was always amazed at how much better I got, but also how quick I recovered from different injuries.
Yeah.
And then my dad one day just said, would you ever think about doing this as a job one day? And I never even thought about it until he mentioned it then. And it was just sort of a seed that was planted in my mind. Started looking into it a bit more, started observing that chiropractor from time to time just to see is this something I'd be interested in doing. And it was looking awesome. I loved it. So went to do my undergraduate degree with it in mind as a stepping stone to apply to chiropractic college, and spending some time observing various chiropractors as well, just to sort of further confirm, that's what I want to do. And I've just never looked back.
That's
cool. And honestly, love it. Like, it's
absolutely
awesome. Like, it's fun. That's great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Like for you, it was something that you needed.
Yeah.
When you were.
Yeah, you're good. Is something not working?
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to find my glasses. Where did I put them?
I didn't even know you had glasses.
I brought them in with me. I always do this. I'm always losing stuff, mate.
You can go back to the car. I didn't see you walk in with glasses. You had those on your head.
Oh, they're on my head.
But those glasses, I thought you were looking for your, these kinds of glasses.
No, these glasses. Just because I get a bit emotional sometimes when I'm talking, I like to cover the tears.
Oh, you're hilarious.
Sorry, mate. I even forgot we were talking about.
Now we can focus.
That's right. The question I was asking was, when you were playing ice hockey, you sustained a lot of injuries. Correct.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people, in terms of their careers, it becomes a personal need that they have, and then they want to share it with the other people? How much of it comes down to that?
Maybe just to understand your question, probably meaning that because I've had an injury and helped with chiropractic, therefore I've wanted to give that to other people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I would say the vast majority, that would be the case, definitely. The large majority of chiropractors out there in the profession have had some type of a personal positive experience within their own lives with chiropractic, and therefore are excited to share that with other people. Yeah. It's not true for all chiropractors, but by far the large majority.
Your chiropractic care has actually helped me. It has aligned my spinal attitude. Like when I came to you, my spine had a really bad fucking attitude, Nick. And you've helped me through that. I actually had some, not necessarily negative opinions on chiropractic care, but I don't even know if it came from me or if it just came from the world.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, there's a bit of a negative opinion on it.
So I think your dad had to coerce you to eventually come and see me, didn't he?
Yeah. I was seeing a chiropractor in my early 20s. It just felt like it was doing nothing. She'd give me a little tap on the ear, put her finger up my bum, and then send me off. And
it was a chiropractor.
She didn't literally put her finger in my bum, but it was kind of like, that was good. When are you going to finish it? But spinal attitude is really hard to adjust, isn't it, Nick?
It is. It's interesting, actually. I never really thought of this analogy of your spine having an attitude. But if you think of your own, I guess, behavior and mental state, or whatever you want to call it, having a particular attitude, to change your attitude towards something can be quite a difficult thing to do, and sort of repetitive kind of, I guess, reminders of how to change your attitude or your outlook towards something. And the reason why you've achieved a certain state of attitude is based on all your previous experiences. And literally the same thing occurs with your spine. The reason why it gets to this state of an angry attitude is because of all of its previous experiences as well. So, whether that be sitting on your ass all day long and your back doesn't like that, so it starts to develop a bit of a negative attitude towards being in that state, or poor postures or repetitive activities that you're doing, whether it be sport related that's knocked you around or whatever else. Those accumulated incidents over time is what has led somebody to be in that state of a pretty cranky spinal attitude. So there's this memory that builds up, and we have to try to literally break down that built up state to bring it back to a happier place.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's interesting. So you've never thought of spine as attitude. I've never thought of the spine having a memory.
All right.
Yeah, so I like that too.
Yeah.
The reason I sort of thought of attitude was I've only since learned how connected the brain and the spine is. Like, we all know this.
Yeah.
But not until I experienced trauma and, what do you call it? Waking up, couldn't feel my legs.
Yeah, literally like paralysis.
Paralysis, yeah, not until I experienced
literal.
that. And can't move, like my only movement was that one arm. It was all brain. Like, it pretty much did come down to how we associate with attitude.
Yeah, you had a pretty crazy story.
Yeah.
Have you shared your story on here yet?
I haven't shared I've shared little parts of the story on the
Yeah.
podcast, but haven't really gone deep into it.
Yeah.
Maybe the time is now.
Maybe the title. How about we switch roles and I start interviewing you?
Sure, why not?
All right. So, how many years ago did this happen again? I'm trying to remember.
I get Facebook memories every now and then, just reminds me of all the bullshit.
Yeah.
So it would have been over 5 years, 5 years ago.
So 5 years ago, you had some type of a viral virus of sorts that started to attack your nervous system, correct?
Correct, yes.
So maybe walk me down a little bit about how this happened. What was your first signs that things weren't right?
Okay, well, the lead up was I was working in IT and it was a horrible job. I was absolutely exhausted and I was just jaded with life in general. I felt like I had no sense of purpose or belonging. And then it just started to manifest in the physical form. I woke up in a hospital bed. I'd found out I'd been in a coma for about 2 to 3 weeks. And I just sort of thought, well, what's real and what's not? Because I still had memories of these dreams, and some events that I thought might have been happening were just in my own head.
Yeah.
And life had literally stopped. We'd been through 3 prime ministers, and that's a fact. That's one of the questions they ask you, just to show that you've got your faculties. The first question is, what's your name? What's your date of birth? No, what's your name? What date is it? And who's the Prime Minister of Australia? And I'm like, this is a fucking trick question.
This is. Well, I was in Canada in August visiting family. I was at my wife's house with her family, and my father sent me a text message saying, just so you know, you guys have a new Prime Minister. I was like, what? I didn't even know. Yeah, it's absolutely hilarious.
Oh, it's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So they have to take that question out of their procedural method of finding out if somebody's mental status is back on track. Nobody knows the answer to that.
No one knows the answer to that question. What a stupid question to ask.
Sorry, we went off track there. So
that's okay.
You were in a
often.
coma for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Came back to and trying to figure out what was real, what was not real.
Yeah.
And that's also when you realized is that at that point that you couldn't move many of your limbs?
It happened to me quite often. You'd sleep funny, you'd wake on your arm and it'd be limp, and you'd be scared for about 30 seconds and it'll come back. I thought that was the case at first, but then it was like, oh, it's 3 days, so I probably should stop waiting.
Yeah.
And then it was like, what am I in control of and what am I not in control of? So I was just staring at my toes for about 2 to 3 days, just trying to get one of it to wiggle, that kind of empty space between my head and the physical. And it did. I got a little wiggle after about 3 days, and that was that kind of key moment. It's like, I'm going to get through this. I'm going to walk again.
And this is one part that you haven't said, but I might cut in here to interrupt because
Yep.
What were you told? Were you told that you would be able to walk again or not?
Yes, I was told that I probably will never walk again. And for some reason, rehab came to mind. Like, I didn't even know what that process is, but I knew that I would have to do some sort of hydrotherapy because, I don't know, just water was a big thing for me. When I was sick, I had about 6 or 7 showers a day. It was like coming back to the water. And I was just lying there, and all I wanted to do was get a wash. I don't know, might have been the attractive nurse that she did. It was like a trip to Bali, Nick. I was like, I get to have a shower. I get to sit on a shower chair.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like a brain-gasm or something, really. I'll probably cut that bit.
Yeah.
I'll cut most of this.
That's all good. So from there, You were told you'd never walk again.
Yes.
In your mind, did you ever believe that?
It was kind of 50-50, and I thought, well, maybe he's right. But I'm the sort of person that doesn't like to be told I can't do something. It was a real motivator. It was the kind of, I just want to tell you, fuck you. No one tells me what I can and can't do.
Yeah.
That was a drive for me. And it kind of did this real switch of not having a purpose. It's like, well, I have a purpose in life now. My purpose is to get up and walk. It wasn't ideal. Like I was trapped.
Yeah.
Like trapped physically, like not in my head. In my head, I'm just roaming free. Like I never dreamt of being in a wheelchair the whole time. I kept having walking, flying dreams the whole time.
Amazing.
Yeah, you're waking up and you're just like, oh, this is still a dream. I'm going to wake up now. And it's like, oh, hey, no, it's not. It's real. And that took me a few days to
Realize
that, or just to accept that. Yeah, I was just denying it. And even now, I'm still denying that I have issues. I forget what I go through and I think that everything's normal. That's been the way I survived the whole time, was not accepting it.
Yeah. And I guess giving you the motivation to just keep pushing through.
Yeah.
So through this process of learning to walk again, the first step was you literally connecting your brain to your toes again.
Correct, yes.
And once first time you could move, wiggle your toes, did you laugh? Did you cry? Were you like, what was the emotion with that?
I laughed. I was just highly medicated. The first time I cried was when I shat myself in front of an attractive nurse. That's the first time I cried.
That's a good reason to cry.
It was just a surreal moment. Another thing I did to survive was, it's like, this isn't real. I'm just an actor playing a movie and I'm just researching a character.
Yeah.
And I've never played a disabled character before. I walked out of rehab nearly 5 years ago, which was amazing, just before Christmas.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I made a clear goal. It was so defined and so specific, but it was like, I'm going to walk before Christmas time, and it was a week before, and I got discharged Christmas Eve.
Wow, that is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, but when I was kind of released, I guess that's a negative way to put it, but when I was sent out into the real world again, into my isolated Miley Cyrus cave,
yes,
I can walk again. But then there was still all these other issues that I'm having. I had the emotional issues, I had the sexual dysfunction issues, the bowel and the bladder, because I was messing myself in public because I just still didn't have that bladder control. As from the outside, I was completely normal. In reality, I wasn't.
Yeah. So the timing of, I guess, these messages coming from your dad and you being finally out of the hospital was just a right opportunity for you to say, well, let's see what can bring me to the next level, I suppose. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's part of it. Another part was I was completely out of a support network.
Yeah.
I was just standing up on my own, and I had all this unresolved stuff, like I mentioned briefly about the functioning. No one sort of offered any hope with that, but you did.
Yeah. Maybe we'll delve into this a little bit as well, but what's been your experience like with chiropractic, your second experience? Maybe just in general, maybe we'll leave it at that. What's your experience been like?
Okay, so any fears that I originally had were completely out of the window. Like, you can't break something that's already broken. So once it was fucked, it's like, do what you want. I don't care. It's
not going to get
any worse than it is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just learning to be patient, and patience is one thing that I had to do to get through.
Yeah.
And I know that there's no kind of silver bullet that's just going to cure me overnight. It's what you've been saying is it's your body that heals you, not the chiropractic care.
Yeah, spot on.
I mean, for me, posture's everything. Posture is attitude. Do you know what I mean? If you change your posture, you change your mood.
It's pretty fascinating. And one analogy, which I think is really critical, or not critical, but it's a great example. Like the extreme of attitude and posture is a cat who's scared.
Yeah,
their whole spine is like curled like a upside down U, and every part of them is tense like crazy. And why is it that we as humans, I know we can't bend our spine like that, but we will tend to, any emotional stress that we're going through, we physically have a very similar physiological and muscular response to it. You just can't visually see it quite as much, but you can see it. You can tell when, especially if it's somebody that you know, what kind of emotional state they're in by just looking at their posture, which is pretty fascinating. So yeah, you're right, absolutely. Posture is your attitude.
Yeah, because what you were saying, it's posture can be a response to our emotion, but
it can go the other way.
Yeah,
you're right. Sorry,
you
you did say that as well. And there's pretty awesome research out there to even show, like if you put a pencil between your teeth, like cross width, so the pencil's across both sides of your mouth, which sort of forces you to smile.
Yeah.
Let's say you're grumpy, and you shove a pencil like that, and it forces you to smile, and you're smiling for like a good 30 seconds. Believe it or not, you'll actually start feeling better. It's pretty amazing.
An observation I've made of you, Nick, is you're always happy. Like, I never really understood that. I love that about you. I think that's an honourable thing.
Thank you.
But do you get sad?
I do get sad.
Yeah.
And just trying to think. I mean, different things will cause me to go sad, but there'll be more... Sadness to me would be more related to, I guess, relationships more than anything. Yeah. So if I see somebody hurting, especially someone close to me, not necessarily physical, but just in whatever's going on in their lives, like that will make me feel sad. So through a sympathetic, like sympathy, side of things. And I've had a bit of that going on lately. So I actually have been sad in the last few weeks because I've had some other close people in my life that have been going through some rough times. Yeah. But apart from that...
But you've never shown it. You hide it well. And is that the key though? Like me with my disability and you with your sadness, is the key just to change your posture or your attitude first?
Yeah, it's a good question. I know there's a little phrase that somebody had told me once, which I liked, which was... What was it now? Hold on a second, it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
It says, emotion follows motion, which in this particular example, it had to do with more exercise. So you get to a stage where you've had a holiday, you've had a big break. The last thing you want to do is get back into your normal exercise routine. But even though you don't want to, just get off your butt. Get out there, start moving. Strangely, as you start exercising, you get this emotion of wanting to keep exercising. And so your emotion follows the motion. You've got to mentally, like you said, posture yourself, position yourself in a direction, and then your attitude sort of follows and I think matches that up.
That's good.
But I mean, at the same time, I think it's still important to be true to your emotions and vulnerable and not, pretending like they're not there. That's not a good thing. But definitely so that you're not stuck in a rut.
That rut is, it's a place I hate.
Yeah.
And almost I'm getting this image of the water again, like when it's just stagnant and you're just stationary and you just need to get that flow of water happening. And that's the key, is the flow or the momentum.
Absolutely. And that flows in again, using that same word, but the way it all sort of works is based on what you mentioned before, which is your body's doing the healing. Like, I'm not improving your immune system, but all I'm doing is removing literally physical stress off your body so that your body can function better the way it's supposed to, so that way your immune system can work better, your body can work better, your brain can communicate to your limbs more clearly, so you can have better coordination and control of things. It's more about giving you the potential that's inside of you. So it's been pretty fascinating to watch you go over the last 2, maybe even 3 years I've been working with you. I can't remember.
It'll be probably close to 3, I reckon.
So it's been pretty awesome for me to hear your story and be along with you and hear you, progress through. It's been awesome. But maybe at this stage of the interview, should we swap things back around? Do you want to be interviewing me again?
Do you have anything you want to share, or any of your experiences in your own personal life or with other people with chiropractic care?
Well, I'd love to. I can share only about myself. Strangely, by law,
Yes.
Australia has made it that I'm not allowed to share any positive experiences about any other patient. In fact, technically, we're allowed to hear because it's your show.
Yep.
And it's not something that's on my website or something like that.
Yep.
But we're not allowed to share positive stories of anybody else publicly on our office website or anything like that. It's like the government doesn't want the world to know that people are getting better with chiropractic. So,
It's more of a privacy law?
I don't know.
I'm trying to work out.
The term is used is called testimonials, which basically means any experience that a patient has had with chiropractic, saying, let's say their headaches got better, or even honestly as simple as this. Let's say you saw a chiropractor, you came in with low back pain and it's now gone. I'm not allowed to say so-and-so came in with low back pain and now they don't have it anymore. Chiropractic's it's a lot bigger than just back pain, but we're not allowed to share that message. Well, for health professionals, it's illegal to do that.
It's illegal. Wow. And when did they introduce that law?
Well, it's been in place ever since I've been practicing in Australia, which has been 11 years now. I don't know if years back it was permitted. I'm not sure.
Okay. So what are we allowed to talk about without getting you in trouble?
Well, I can talk about my own personal experiences, which you mentioned.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess I've never really had any miraculous stories per se. Like I was never paralyzed and now can walk again like you. But for me, it's been more about a performance thing. Where initially it was pain. Like that's what got me into chiropractic. I think that's what most people come in a chiropractic office is eventually they get to a stage where, well, I can't do what I want to do anymore. I better do something about it. And that was initially what caused me to see chiropractor first, so I can keep playing hockey.
Yeah.
Ice hockey in particular for you Aussies listening. But now, and for some time, I'm rarely ever in pain. It's more about optimizing my function. Like for me, if I go more than a couple of weeks without getting checked and adjusted, I'll know my concentration levels aren't as good. My energy levels aren't quite as good. You know, my wife might say I'm a little bit more grumpy than normal. Or, you know, when I am playing ice hockey, I'm not playing this season, but I normally play in town. Like I'll feel a difference in my level of performance, and irrelevant of pain. And then I'll get adjusted.
Yep.
And I just feel I've got this new level of potential. Like I can reach further gains, and I'm just more myself. I don't know. Yep. That's probably the best way of saying it.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, and what you were saying as well about the mood, and sometimes I start to feel that too.
Yeah.
Do you adjust yourself?
No.
You can't?
No. No, I get one of the other chiropractors that we work with to check me out and see what's going on to adjust me. Yeah, it's a good question though. I get that question a lot actually from some people. Technically, you can crack your own back. The hard part isn't just cracking your back, is to find out what joints of your spine aren't moving the way they should, and those are the ones that need to be adjusted. And I can't do that on myself. I'm just physically unable to do that. Yeah. So you need somebody else to assess and see, okay, this area is not moving right. And I mean, you may get some relief if you cracked yourself, but you're not really going to resolve things properly long term, because you may just be getting joints that are already moving well, and you're just cracking those over and over again, which is not a great idea, because then you're making joints that are already moving well, potentially, hypermobile, so not a good thing. You want to only get the ones that are stuck, misaligned, not moving the way they should, get those ones moving better. And you need somebody with trained hands to find out where that is. Sure. Yeah.
But are there stretches that you can do as a short-term release?
There is. Usually I have like a sort of a bit of a daily routine of general stretches I do just to keep me limber and just allow literally sort of helps the adjustment hold over a longer period of time. But up to a point, mental stress or physical stress on your body from the job I do, just tension builds back up, and then it's just sort of time to hit the reset button and get me back on track again.
That's good. And I've always thought the crack was bone, but it's like a release of gas, is it?
Yeah, you're right. So literally, just like a little kid who put his hand in his armpit.
Yeah. I can't do that anymore. I tried the other night. just to entertain myself.
But if you put your hands, cusp them together,
Yeah.
you make that similar noise and separate them. It's that release of pressure within the joint creates a gas bubble being released. And that's what the popping noise is. It's not bone on bone or like that. It's literally a release of gas from that pressure change.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's a key indicator of the adjustment is that noise to know that you've
Well, it's interesting.
adequately done it.
In the past, that's been what we thought as chiropractors. But the research has actually shown that the noise is actually more of a side effect and has nothing to do with the benefits that are gained from the adjustment. So it's possible to adjust somebody and not hear any cracking noises at all and still get huge positive improvements and gains with their spinal health and function. It's quite common that you do, depending on the technique of chiropractic you use, but we tend to use more manual, hands-on techniques that you often hear that. But whether or not you hear that noise doesn't matter, as long as when we recheck that things are moving better, we're in the clear. But it's funny, it's a psychological thing. For me, as a patient, when I get adjusted, I prefer to hear the noise.
Yeah.
Even though I know the research showing it doesn't matter, deep down I still prefer to hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
And a lot of our patients like that. There are some people who hate to hear the noise. And if we adjust them and there's no noise, they're even happier because they don't like to hear it.
Yeah.
But it's more of a psychological thing. The physiology of it doesn't matter.
I mean, there's some noises you don't want to hear. I don't want to let off an almighty fart while I'm getting adjusted. Like, that would be embarrassing. But a crack is
Yeah, that's
fucking, you've done your job.
satisfying.
Yeah, satisfaction. There's one point I actually was holding in a massive shit. Yeah, it wouldn't have been good.
If that happens again, just say, Nick, I need to go to the washroom, and we can pause. There's never that big of an urgency. We can wait.
No, it's hard though, because I can't have a conversation sometimes because all ears are listening. So I've got to kind of pick the moments when there's mothers and bubs in the waiting room. I'm going to try. I need to probably be a bit more professional sometimes. Have I ever crossed the line there?
Oh no, the attitude consultant never crosses the line.
Oh, good.
Gets close to the line.
Oh, we're just going to walk right up and
That's right. You got to test where the line is a bit. No, you've been all right.
Yes. Yeah, beautiful people there. It's just this real family vibe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Which is probably works out well. That's called Adelaide Family Chiropractic. It's got a family vibe to it.
Yeah, nice.
But definitely, it's a huge part, I think, especially if people are coming in those initial stages of not being well and their mood is down. They're, like you mentioned, your posture affects your attitude. So a lot of people coming in starting chiropractic care, their spinal attitude is usually not great. They can be grumpy, curt over the phone with our staff. It's not because they're bad people, but honestly, they're in a state where they're just trying to cope with life because there's so much stress going through them. Yeah. And we often see through the chiropractic care, through the positive environment that our staff creates, honestly, within a month or so, our staff will often say, like, this person is so much nicer. They used to be a pain in the butt, but now they're just so pleasant to talk to, whereas initially they would not be at all. So I think part of that healing process is more than just the chiropractic adjustment itself, but having that environment which is positive.
Attitude starts with admin. There we go.
You got it. I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So did you start at this Oakbank practice, or was the Morphett one first?
Well, between the two, I started here.
Yes.
When I first came to Australia, I actually worked in Wildlife for 2.5 years.
Yep.
And then from there, came to here to Oakbank, and then splitting my time between Oakbank and the Morphett practice. So partner from an ownership perspective in both of those offices. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you part owner with your wife?
No, my wife, she's a extremely important, what's the word I'm looking for, consultant in all business matters, because she comes up, she has always great feedback to provide for me all the time, which is good.
Fantastic, yeah.
But on paper, no, but Brad Wilson, who's another Canadian chiropractor, he's a person, so my wife says that he's my other wife. Well,
but
how are you doing for your time? Because it's just after 1.
Yeah, perfect, mate. We could probably try and wind it up a little bit. But this is actually really good stuff, man.
Awesome.
It's a great, serious one. What I normally do to get the interview started is I ask people what success means to them. That's been an ongoing theme in every interview.
Yeah.
So what does success mean to you?
success to me is...
Nice.
So definitely finishing off our interview on a very different tone.
No, I like it. Normally I start with that, but
Yeah.
no, it's great. Good way to end.
Good stuff.
Thanks so much, Nick, for
Rowan, it's an
taking out
absolute
your
pleasure.
time.
Thank you for asking me to partake. It's an honor.
No, I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, and I think the timing was beautiful and perfect.
Good.
It's come from weird, surreal comedy to great, powerful storytelling.
Awesome.
I
And
kinda
it's
like
great.
where
I'm
it's
glad
heading.
that you've had the opportunity to share your story too, because honestly, it's quite a powerful story that, you know, there could be a lot of listeners out there who gain a lot of positive from that story, because honestly, your story is a pretty powerful, uplifting story.
No, thanks, mate. And that's what I like about podcasting is you don't get that feedback. You don't know that you are actually helping people out at all, but you might be.
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
AttitudeConsultant.com.
Attitude Consultant is produced by Ryan Harry and distributed by the Oscars Network.